Okay, so hi and welcome to today's episode. I am so excited to introduce to you Sarah Parise. She is an experienced AEC, ACE, damn, she,
It's
I
off to a
jinxed
great start on
myself.
this Friday
Okay,
morning.
all right. So, hi and welcome to today's episode. I'm so excited to introduce my guest today. Her name is Sarah Parise. No, I don't want to say her name. That's awful. Okay. Hi, and welcome to today's episode. I am so excited to introduce to you my guest today, Sarah Parise. She is an experienced ACE certified personal trainer and wellness specialist, yoga instructor, business owner, but most importantly, a mother, driven by her passion to help other moms take better care of themselves. She's created a business centered around self-care and prioritizing moms for just 2% of the day. She takes pride in helping her clients transform their lives. As a coach, she spends time understanding the root cause of the issue, sets milestones throughout the process, and celebrates when goals and dream scenarios are achieved. Sarah has been recognized by moms of all ages and stages of motherhood around the world for her extraordinary commitment to enable them to feel their best so they can give their best to their families each day. The bottom line is she helps moms have more great days. Welcome, Sarah, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Liz, so much. I can't wait to have this chat.
Yeah, this is so exciting because we have a lot in common, being moms, and
Mhm.
the postpartum situation I feel like happened after both my pregnancies, and I don't feel like I was even aware of it until after
Mhm.
I was healing it. Because I
Same,
didn't, it was like
110%.
you're so engrossed in caring for this child, this infant, that you're not even thinking about what you need. I mean, it's like, well, could I get a shower today? That's all I can think about is, can I get a shower?
Mhm.
I mean, or did I eat today? I forget. I mean, there's just
Mhm.
no time. And um, the support, I did have really a lot of support at the pediatrician's office with nursing issues and things like that.
Mhm.
But I don't feel like anyone ever said to me, yeah, how do you feel? Are you nervous? Are you anxious? Are you getting any sleep? Do you have good
Mhm.
support at home? Are you any of that? So, I mean, everyone's journey is different, but I'm excited to hear a little bit more about your journey and what led you to where you are today and how you use EFT in your business currently.
Absolutely. I mean, I felt the same way, like even leading up to be like becoming a mom and having this birth of this child, I read everything and it was all about like the baby's growth and the baby's this and the baby's that. And you get the nursery ready and you get all the things for the baby. And then all of a sudden this baby's here. And at no point did any of those books talk about taking care of myself unless it was about the baby. Like make sure you're hydrated because you need to nurse. Make sure you're eating so the baby can get the nutrients. It was never about taking care of yourself. So it's no wonder neither one of us thought about ourselves after you have this child.
Right.
And you do live in this fog I went out to dinner last night with some friends for a birthday, and one of the moms is 2 months postpartum. And she's like, I finally feel like the fog has lifted. And in my head, I was like, you are so lucky
I know,
that the
two
fog has
months.
lifted at 2 months. That's phenomenal. I'm just like, wow. And then someone else threw in, she's like, yeah, right at that 6 week mark, I finally felt like myself again. I was like, who are these unicorns that I'm sitting at this Mexican restaurant with? This was not my story. And I think for the most part, at least what I've seen with the moms I work with, it's like somewhere around the 6 month mark, maybe
Uh-huh.
it's somewhere between 6 months and a year where finally you kind of feel like, okay, especially when it's your first, you feel like, okay, I can do this and I might be able to take care of myself a little.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, the moms that go through the program that I have, it's 12 weeks of physical, mental, and emotional health, kind of focusing on yourself. Most of them have older toddlers, if not elementary school kids. So it takes us way longer than we ever would care to think about before you have a baby to really actually get back into things.
Yeah. So, I mean, tell us, our listeners, a little bit about, you mentioned this program that you have. Tell us a little bit about what you do and
Mhm.
some of the tools you use for moms that have postpartum.
Absolutely. Well, it all started like with my own struggle. Like you said, you didn't know you had an issue postpartum until like you were kind of getting through it and you're like, wait, what was that? Like
Yep.
my doctor basically told me that it wasn't postpartum depression because I wasn't crying. I wasn't upset. Mine presented as like strong anxiety, which I'd never dealt with in my life, and like utter rage that
Mhm.
all I did was take care of everyone else. And I never had any time to take care of myself. I
Mhm.
hit the rock bottom right around that 6-month mark in a real dark way that I really didn't think that I could go on and do this. That I was like, how do people actually have children, want children, and then are grateful for them afterwards? Because that's the state of mind that I was in, of that I just thought that I wasn't cut out for this. And on a cliff out in Santa Monica, California, where I was living at the time, some pretty dark thoughts entered my mind. And that's when I decided I needed to change. So the next morning I showed up to a yoga class because that was my base. That was what I used to do before kids. I would
Mhm.
exercise, I would do yoga, I would teach. So I showed up. I had broken my tailbone during childbirth. So laying on my back was not possible, but I went and laid on my side and started. And that class, 60 minutes, flowed right around me like it was a dream. Tears just streamed down my face. I couldn't seem to pull myself to even together to sit up on the mat, much less stand and like go through yoga postures. And I remember being like frustrated and embarrassed and mad that I spent the money on the yoga class that I didn't even do anything in. And at the end of class, the teacher, who I had never met at the time, came up to me and she put her hand on my shoulder and she goes, "I don't know what's going on, but the most important thing is you showed up. Just keep showing up." Now we're very dear friends, and she
Mhm.
does know now that she completely changed my life, because I knew from that moment on I needed to start showing up for myself, for my family, for my child, but really I needed to start showing up for me so I could show up for everyone else.
Right.
So I started this incredible journey of self-care, and it had nothing to do with like fancy foot spas and going to get massages. It was like having a cup of tea outside on our patio in the sunshine in the morning. Most of the time my daughter was with me. It's not like it has to be alone time, but
Mhm.
I started incorporating every day, like a little something. And I say little, sometimes just 2 or 3 minutes. It wasn't extreme. It wasn't hour back at the gym. It wasn't these fancy dinners that I was preparing now that I had this newfound respect for myself. It was very small. And it wasn't easy the whole time, but I knew that there was a space in the wellness world for this because I was surrounded by other moms that I had given birth with at the hospital that were feeling like the same way of like,
Mhm.
I'm carrying around all this weight. Nothing fits me. I have no motivation to even put on real clothes because I'm just going to be with my baby and being spit up on and changing poopy diapers. And you're just so in this world of, infanthood that you can't even fathom taking care of yourself. So that's when I put together my first program. It was just 3 weeks and it was just little bits of things each day. So it was basically like a 21-day calendar of how to just kind of like turn the corner on shifting your perspective and thinking about yourself. And it
Mhm.
has morphed into an incredible experience of 12 weeks of establishing a fitness routine in which incorporates yoga and strength training. 'Cause as moms, we need to be strong. No,
Mhm.
we don't need to be huge and muscular, but we do need to be strong. It's so good for our 95-year-old body in the future. So that's what I
Yes.
tell people why I lift. It's for my future self. And then the meal prep and the meal planning. I realized that so many people that were going through the program were like, "I just want you to tell me what to eat. Will you just tell me what to eat? Like, don't tell me like cut out this, cut out that, blah, blah, blah." And I still also want to have a glass of wine, my chocolate. I want this and that. And I
Mhm.
said, "Okay, we'll put together a meal plan." So now I have a 12-week meal plan. It lays out every single meal. Some people really follow every single thing. You don't need to. It's just a way to get you thinking about meal prepping and feeding your family healthy things, especially as your kids grow and change, and to get them into thinking about having healthy meals. But my favorite part is the self-care piece of like how to sneak in little bits here and there. In my Facebook group, Time Out for Moms, we do Monday face masks. So on Mondays, I put a face mask on. It looks terrifying, mostly to my children, but also on mine. And then I post a picture. And now it's just like a post a picture, hashtag mask up Mondays, and
Uh-huh.
other people do the same. And it's hilarious. It is like no one's looking there. No one, it's like the lighting's terrible. You might have a pet in the picture, but it's just like little things that you can do to yourself to just time out,
Yeah.
to take a little break. And then in the program, we talk about your toolbox a lot of like
Mhm.
what works for you. For
Mhm.
me, it's getting outside. It's like getting outside in nature, moving my body. It's through like mindfulness, not necessarily sitting still meditation, but being when you're in the moment, you're in the moment. I went and did a camping retreat last weekend, and a woman had a mug, like a tumbler, and it said, "I am here today." And I loved that. And I was like, what a novel idea. I always encourage the moms I work with to just make coffee, whether you're a coffee drinker or not. But that concept of like when you're making coffee, like don't also be like checking your phone and making lunches and feeding the dog and like
Mhm.
just make, even if it's the only thing you do throughout the day where you're not multitasking, just to pick one thing. And then, of course, a huge piece of it is the EFT tapping, which saved me through my postpartum loop of I can't even say loop of depression, but just the postpartum roller coaster that I went on. I had an acupuncturist recommend it, and I was
Uh-huh.
like, yeah, 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 yeah. And like for years, I was like, okay, I'm sure. She's like, no, just try it. It will work for you. Doesn't matter where you are mentally, it will work for you. And finally, one day in the darkest of dark, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna try it. Like in that moment, I couldn't even think of the three letters that it was. And I
I'm
was
just gonna
like,
do whatever
I
this
don't know,
is.
it's like TF whatever it is, like, literally just Googled, like, tapping.
Uh-huh.
And then afterwards, I sent her a text and I was like, "I finally tried it, and I really liked it." And I'm sure in her head was like, "Yeah, I told you 2 years ago to try this." And I was really hooked from the first moment of, like, it took my panic attack that I was having. This was about the 6.5 month mark with my daughter, and it completely changed how I felt. I,
Mhm.
like, no longer was shaking. I was no longer sweating. I was no longer and it was less than 10 minutes. It was like
Yep.
an 8.5 minute journey, and it really just changed everything. And now I use it for sleeping. I use it for waking up. I use it for having more energy. I use it for if I mean, I am much better now dealing with the anxiety of everything. But if I am ever feeling anxious, I do it before I fly. I
Oh, I
like
do.
all of
I
these
always have
things.
that conversation with people that I do it before I fly, like I'm to manifest
Hmm.
the best experience you can have. I've never heard of
Hmm.
anyone else using it for flying. That's
Oh
amazing.
my goodness. I'm the person on the plane that's going through turbulence, and this is
Oh,
me.
well, I
Like,
tap
I'm
before I
just
get on
doing
the
it.
plane, and then I will tap when
Yes.
I'm on if I need to. But I
Hmm.
usually tap prior to like manifest the best experience, so there won't be any turbulence.
Yes.
But I love what you said about how just that mug and what it
Hmm.
said, what I'm here now, or
I'm
what did
here
it? I'm
today.
here today. Yeah. So
Hmm.
it is so poignant what you said about just that mug because it's so hard to be mindful in the moment when you're a mom
Hmm.
and you're being drug in a million different directions. And I used to feel this overwhelming guilt if I did something for me. And
Hmm.
I would, as a stay-at-home mom, which at that point, I had my graphic design freelance business that I was doing here and there on the side when I only had one child. And
Hmm.
the days that I didn't have a client that I had to do something for, I felt so guilty because my husband would be at work all day. I'd come home and I'd rattle off all the things that I did, just so that he knew that I wasn't just sitting around doing nothing. But
Hmm.
when I could, I would sometimes lay down and take a nap. And the overwhelming guilt that I felt for that nap was so, I mean, it was almost worse than having taken the nap in the first place. But
Hmm.
I felt more anxiety after I got up.
Hmm.
And so when I was in the middle of getting certified, when I worked with, we had to, and I don't know how much you know about me since we just kind of met here online, but the reason I found tapping during my journey with a non-sleeping colicky 3-month old at the time,
Hmm.
I had a compulsive hair pulling disorder for 36 years of my life, trichotillomania, and I
Hmm.
was pulling my hair out so badly, especially in the nursing chair in the middle of the night. I was on no sleep. I was having panic attacks before or when I'd get to actually lie down because I was having a panic attack waiting for a baby to cry, knowing that I'm going to have to get up. So I'd be shaking in bed all night, sweating. I wouldn't, I
Hmm.
mean, it was horrific. So I ended up with all this hair on the floor next to the nursing chair. And I thought this has to stop. And that's when I Googled how to stop hair pulling without drugs because I wanted to still nurse. And
Hmm.
that's when I found tapping. And it changed me so much that I had to learn more about it. I eventually decided to get certified in it, which was only only about a year later from the time I found it till I decided to get certified. But during our certification, we had to work with someone to heal something of our own, another certified trainer of our choosing for 4 sessions. So I chose Joan Kaler, who is in Pittsburgh. And when I was doing the sessions with her, we talked about my hair pulling because that's what I wanted to heal. And she asked me what I would do to relax. How did you relax as a mom? I pull my
That's a
hair.
hilarious question.
I pull my hair.
Like,
That's how I relax. And she said, well, what would you like to do instead of pulling your hair? I said, take a nap. And she said, oh my God, then take a nap. And I said, but I feel so guilty. I can't lie down. There's stuff to do. Like I should be cleaning toilets. I should be making the dinner for later. I should be doing something, but I'm folding laundry, and she said, oh my God. And I said, but my husband, I feel like he'll be mad at me if I take the nap. And she said, tell him that it's part of your healing and tell him I said so. And so as soon as my husband
sometimes
got home,
all we need is permission.
So as soon as my husband got home that night from work, I said to him, well, I had this session with Joan Kaler and she said that I have to take a nap. I'm allowed. And he said, okay. So at that moment, I thought, I'm allowed to do stuff for me. Like I'm allowed. And the idea that I didn't have to pull my hair out of overwhelm, out of anxiety, out of, I need to get this done and I'm allowed to do something for me was like this light bulb went off like, oh my gosh, how can I do more of this? And now you wouldn't even know it was me from that time. It's been almost 10 years. Here's me like, when's the next sound bath I can go to? Maybe I'll take 2 naps today. I'm going to sit outside in the sun on the driveway and just soak it all in. And, whatever, I'm going to do yoga. I'm going to do Pilates today. I'm going to go to Target by myself. And my husband and I kind of had this code word thing before I found tapping and, needing this, a little bit of a break here and there as a mom, he would just see my rage. And when you talk about this rage, like I didn't have what you had either. I wasn't crying. I would go into these fits of rage. Like I was so angry that someone didn't eat the dinner that I made. Like, why wouldn't you eat this organic homemade dinner that I slaved over? And I'd be like, dinner time was the worst for me. And my husband would say, I think you need to go to Home Goods. So like, be at Home Goods. And it was like the most fun I ever had. I didn't even have to buy anything, but just being in this place that felt like somewhere where everything was away. I was alone. There was no one talking to me, asking me for anything, but like, that was my saving grace before I found all these other tools that I think you need to go to Home Goods. But that's kind of like, when I look back at it, it's like, oh my gosh, I was so overcooked. And I was like this lunatic in my own house that my husband actually had to kick me out in a nice way. So, I mean, let's talk a little bit about what symptoms of postpartum depression EFT can help with. Like, give me some examples of what you've seen women come to you with. And I mean, we've talked about anxiety and panic, which I overcame with using tapping. Very quickly, that was able to be helped. I mean, I had panic before I had kids. I just have high anxiety in general. So it was exacerbated tenfold when I had kids, especially on no sleep and, and all of that. So tell me a little bit about some of the symptoms that women come to you with and how, I mean, if EFT doesn't help, or if what does help them?
It's all about building that toolbox. I think for the EFT, I think for a lot of women, you described laying in bed and like you're just waiting for the baby to cry. And that's what I felt too. And I think it's very common, especially when it's your first and you're worried about everything. And you're just like, okay, the baby's asleep. And you have a certain amount of time usually. You're like, okay, I might have 3 hours, but now I have 2 hours. Now I have 1 hour. And then who knows? Like I was doing this when my baby was sleeping, still having this like feeling of I can't go to sleep. She's about to wake up feeling. So that was the first time that I really consistently used the EFT tapping when after I had come through that dark period, was trying to get back to sleep or to relax my body to fall asleep, and allowing myself to relax and fall asleep, and knowing and giving myself the permission that even if it was for 20 minutes, it was worth it. Like, you didn't, like when you had the nap, you don't have to feel guilty for laying down, because it is part of your healing. It is part of what your body needs. When you're so tired that you can fall asleep just like sitting up in a chair or like playing with your kids, you know your body needs the rest. And in this whole guilt, this motherhood guilt on everything, it's so common, and it's a big part of the course that we dive into. Like, why do we feel this guilt? Where does that feeling come from that you were like, my husband would be mad at me if I took a nap and I didn't make dinner and the laundry wasn't folded and all of this stuff? We had that same conversation right about the 7-month mark. And he looked at me, he's like, why do you feel like that? Like, I don't care if the house is a disaster. I don't care if you text me and I have to pick up dinner. where is that coming from? Because it wasn't from him,
Yeah.
but in that moment I thought it was.
Yeah. Same
And
with
then
me.
I did a deep dive, and it was like, I know that it's watching my mom, what she did. She did everything. She did all the cooking, she did all the cleaning, she took care of us. I was the oldest of 4. Even when she went back to work full time after being a stay-at-home mom for 14 years, she still did everything. So that's what I kind of grew up seeing. I didn't see anything else. That's the only mom that I grew up with. So I have this child, and now I'm putting all of these views on what I saw into place, where that my husband is not my dad. He's not like my dad. He's not, the assumptions are not like my dad. Generationally, it's very different.
Mhm.
But I think diving into like, why do you feel guilty for taking care of yourself? Because I know, and I know you agree, that when I take care of myself, everyone else gets the best version of me.
Oh yeah. You have to
So,
fill your own tank in order to be able
mhm,
to, you can't run on empty and
mhm,
have things go pleasantly.
mhm,
I mean, you really have to fill your tank to be able to help others. It's bottom line. But
mhm,
I didn't know that either. I was like, and I'm sure you were, and most mothers are. I was below empty at that point. It was,
100%.
it was. I don't even know how I got that low, to be honest. But it's scary when I
Mhm.
think about it now. It's like, oh my gosh, how did someone not just put me in a straitjacket and wheel me away?
Yeah, very similar feelings about my experience. But speaking of being that tired and that empty, EFT has also helped me when I am sleep deprived. When it is, girls now are 5 and 7, and there's night terrors. There's, going through these kind of growth stages of
Hmm.
mind and body. Of like, my 7-year-old has like growing pains in one leg, so she's up a lot. And there's some mornings that I'm like, how am I going to make it through the day? And that's when I lean into EFT tapping also. Of
Hmm.
like, I need a little boost of energy, and it can be just a short one. It doesn't need to be anything extensive. It could just be 3 minutes of like really focused tapping that
Hmm.
can really boost me to kind of get through the day. And I
Yeah.
say it's worth a try. I mean, I wish, my only regret is that I wish I tried it sooner. I
Yeah.
wish that I was like, it doesn't matter if you knew why it worked. Once I dove into the science of why it worked, but really, you don't need to know why it works, because most of us are in this feeling where it doesn't matter why it works. You
I
just
know.
need it to
We're
work.
desperate. Yeah, we're absolutely
Mhm.
desperate. And it does work. You don't have to believe in it. It just,
Mhm.
accessing the energy and those acupressure points is all you need. I mean, you don't even have to,
Mhm.
and a lot of times moms will say, I don't have time. There's no time. Well, um, you're alone in the shower. You're alone. I talk about
Mhm.
toilet tapping all the time. Tap while you're on the
I love that.
toilet. Toilet tapping. I mean, and that's what I did at first a lot. I was tapping the
Mhm.
shower. I was tapping on the toilet. Anywhere
Mhm.
where no one could where I could be alone for 2 seconds, which wasn't often. Tapping in the
Mhm.
car would I mean, I it has saved me so many times from having a major meltdown with young kids that I can't even,
Mhm.
it's worth its weight in gold. And you don't have to see anyone specifically. I mean, people see me
Mhm.
when there's things that they can't get to the bottom of themselves. And I still
Yes.
see someone if there's something personally I can't
Mhm.
get to the bottom of myself, because it's very hard to be specific. But in the
Mhm.
moment, any tapping, just one point, tapping and breathing, it works so well. It calms your
Mhm.
amygdala, your cortisol
Mhm.
level drops, you automatically feel calm in your body. I tap so much that I automatically start yawning even when I just touch one point, because my body is so ready or it needs it. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
like,
ready to
yeah.
release.
And it's like automatic for me. So
Mhm.
sometimes I get mad. I'm like, no, I don't want to relax so quickly. I just want to like tap a little bit. And then I probably have to tap about being mad about tapping. But we should have a little experience together. How would you feel about that?
I love that.
Okay. So for all those moms that think that there isn't a way out, I feel like there's moms that might be listening right now that are exhausted, and we feel you. Sarah and I feel your pain. This is just something that you can do for yourself. And once you start, it's going to make sense why you need to keep doing these things
Mhm.
and being present and mindful, even if it's just for a few minutes a day, because that's all this takes. So if
Mhm.
you aren't driving your car, please get into a comfortable position. Put your feet flat on the floor if you can. Energy grounds through our feet. And let's tune into your body. Where are you holding the tension? Where are you holding the anxiety, the sleep deprivation? Do you feel it in your shoulders? Where do you hold your stress? Is it in your jaw? Kind of tune in to those physical feelings that you have and give those a number, or give your symptoms a number, and then let's give your exhaustion a number. How about that? I'm exhausted. Where is that number on a scale of 0 to 10? Jot that down or think about it in your head, and we'll do a couple rounds of tapping here and see how we feel. So Sarah's going to follow along with me, and I'll tell you where we are in the points. And here we go. Even though
Even though
I'm exhausted,
I'm exhausted,
I don't think I could do one more thing today.
I don't think I could do one more thing today.
I I've given all I have.
I've given all I have.
I barely can lift my hand to tap,
I can barely lift my hand to tap,
but I know I need to do this for me.
but I know I need to do this for me.
I love and accept myself,
I love and accept myself,
even though
even though
I chose this job of being a mom.
I chose this job of being a mom.
Sometimes it's so overwhelming,
Sometimes it's so overwhelming,
and I can feel it in my body.
and I can feel it in my body.
I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
And even though
And even though
people say you have to enjoy this time you get with your baby,
people say you have to enjoy this time you get with your baby,
I want to scream because I'm so exhausted.
I want to scream because I'm so exhausted.
I feel like I can't even enjoy my child.
I feel like I can't even enjoy my child.
And that's not how I want it to be.
And that's not how I want it to be.
And I love and accept myself anyway.
And I love and accept myself anyway.
Top of the head. I'm acknowledging these feelings of overwhelm and exhaustion.
I'm acknowledging these feelings of overwhelm and exhaustion.
Eyebrow point. I'm allowed to feel them.
I'm allowed to feel them.
They're perfectly normal.
They're perfectly normal,
Side of the eye. But I don't have to suffer.
but I don't have to suffer.
I need to ask for what I need.
I need to ask for what I need,
Under the eye. Whether it's a 10-minute nap
whether it's a 10-minute nap
or for my husband to pick up dinner.
or for my husband to pick up dinner.
Under the nose. I deserve time
I
alone.
deserve time alone.
I need a break.
I need a break.
And I need to use my voice to ask for it.
And I need to use my voice to ask for it.
Chin point. It's hard and I'm adjusting.
It's hard and I'm adjusting.
It's never easy.
It's never easy.
Collarbone point. I'm going to have good and bad days.
I'm going to have good and bad days.
But all of those days should involve a little bit of a break.
But all of those days should involve a little bit of a break.
Under the arm. Even if I have to ask for help.
Even if I have to ask for help.
Top of the head. Even if it's just a cup of coffee alone.
even if it's just a cup of coffee alone.
Eyebrow point. These are the little ways I can fill my cup.
These are the little ways that I can fill my cup
Side of the eye, in order to be able to be a good mom.
in order to be able to be a good mom.
Under the eye. These feelings of anxiety, depression, and exhaustion
These feelings of anxiety, depression, and exhaustion
are because I am deprived
I am deprived
and I need to make a change.
and I need to make a change.
Under the nose. The littlest change can help so much.
The littlest change can help so much.
It can help me feel different in my body.
It can help me feel different in my body.
Chin point. It can help me feel settled in my body.
It can help me feel settled in my body.
It can give me energy
It can give me energy
when I think I don't have any left.
when I think I don't have any left.
Collarbone point. And I deserve this.
And I deserve this.
I'm giving everything I have.
I'm giving everything I have.
I deserve a few minutes of what I need.
I deserve a few minutes of what I need.
Under the arm. What I need is important.
What I need is important.
Probably the most important.
Probably the most important.
And I deserve to get what I need.
And I deserve to get what I need.
Okay. And take a deep breath. And I'll ask you to check back in with your body, wherever you felt a tension. And I actually felt in my shoulders really a lot, and my shoulders don't look like they're up around my ears right now. So that's good. How did that feel for you, Sarah?
That was awesome. I love that one.
Okay,
It
good.
was so good.
Good. Well, I hope that your number came down a little bit. And if it didn't, just go back through and tap another couple rounds. And everyone has time to tap. I fully don't believe that people, when I have clients that say, I didn't have time. And between weeks of our sessions together, I feel like, oh my gosh, I want to scream, because you don't even have to be sitting in a quiet place to do it. You could tap one point, you could hold and breathe, just whatever point. Some people have points that they really like better than others. I really like under my nose. You can tap in the car when you're at a red light.
That's what my kids and I do, red light meditation.
Yeah, it's really
And we
great.
like here.
I know my husband said that he saw someone tapping in the car at a red light the other day. And I said, did you think they were crazy? And he goes, no, I just knew what they were doing. I never care. My kids are always like, Mom, someone's going to see you tapping in the car. I don't care because it feels good. And
I feel so
when am I
good.
ever going to see them again? So I hope that all of you moms out there got a little bit of a few minutes of you time by doing that tapping. And I am wondering if Sarah could let our listeners know how to find her and if you have anything special you'd like to offer today.
Absolutely. The easiest place, if you're on Facebook, come join my group. It's called Time Out for Moms, and it's wellness, accountability, and support. I do weekly live workouts and meditations, live tappings. We do recipe exchanges, all like little tips and tricks I mentioned that are Face Mask Monday, all these little things so that you will carve out time, because no one's going to give you time. It's very rare that someone's like, here, have an hour. Maybe if you have a really awesome partner, they do. But for most of us, we're just getting through the day with everything that we have. So just to teach yourself to carve out a little time. And I always talk to people about 2%. So it's less than 30 minutes a day. People that are really good about taking time for themselves are like, how can you only take out 30 minutes a day? I said, because you're a mom and you don't have that much time. So carving out just 2% can make such a difference. And then I'm over on Instagram at Great Days by Sarah, and my website, greatdaysbysarah.com. And I'd love to offer your listeners my little cheat that sits on my refrigerator. It's how busy moms prioritize their own wellness. And it's like a fun little bingo board. and I just have it on the fridge. And like when
I
I'm
love
making
it.
dinner, I can say, oh, what square do I want to do while this, while this heats up? Okay, this. What can I do while I'm making lunches in between grabbing the next snack that I pack or the next vegetable that I cut? And it just sits there and it's a little way to sneak in some activity throughout the course of the day.
I love that. I'm going to use that for sure. Well, all of this, Sarah's information and everything else is going to be in the show notes at the end of the show. And just a reminder, if you'd like to work with me, you can schedule a free discovery call on my website, tapintohealth.net. Or if you're ready to start right now, you can visit my online store and download pre-recorded mini sessions. Thank you so much for being with us today, Sarah. I know so many moms just needed this so much. I feel like I needed it, even though I do prioritize myself. We kind of need a reminder here and there.
And thank you so much for taking me through that tapping today because I didn't know how
Wonderful.
much I needed it, but I
Oh,
really
good.
did.
I'm so glad. Well, thank you all so much for listening today. We'll see you next time. And until then, keep tapping.